I can't pick that up. No, really, I can't pick that up. Are you dense? I can't pick that up. Read my lips. I can't pick that up.
You are lying, backstabbing, cowardly, useless piece of shit, and I hate you with every single part of my being. Even this world's finest writers and poets from throughout the ages could never hope to accurately describe the scale on which you just fucked up, and how incredibly idiotic you are. Anyone that believes in any religion out there should now realize that they have been wrong this entire time. For if divine beings were real, they would never have allowed a being such as you to stain the earth in this universe. In the future there will be horror stories made about you, with the scariest part of them being that the reader has to realize that such an indescribable monster actually exists, and that the horrific events from the movie have actually taken place in the same world that they live in right now. You are the absolute embodiment of everything that has ever been wrong on this earth. Yet you managed to make it so that is only a small part of the evil that is your being. Never in the history of mankind has there been anyone that could have predicted such an eldritch abomination. But here you are. It's hard to believe that I'm seeing such an incredible failure with my own eyes. But here I am, so unfortunately I cannot deny your existence. Even if I did my very best, my vocabulary is not able to describe the sheer magnitude of the idiotic mistake that is you. Even if time travel someday will be invented, there still would not be a single soul willing to go back in time to before this moment to fix this story, because having to witness such incredible horrors if they failed would have too many mental and physical drawbacks that not even the bravest soul in his story would be willing to risk it. I cannot imagine the poor dread your mother must have felt when she had to carry a baby for 9 months and then giving birth to such a wretched monster as you. Not a single word of the incoherent, illogical rambling you may be wanting to do to defend yourself or apologize would ever be able to make up for what you just did. The countries of the world would have wanted to make laws preventing such a terrible event like this from ever happening again. But sadly this is not possible, since your horrific actions just now have shattered every form of order this world once had, making concepts such as laws irrelevant. Right from the moment I first set my eyes on you, I knew you were an absolute abomination of everything that is wrong with humanity. I was hoping I would have been able to prevent your evil from being released upon this world by tagging along and keeping my eye on you. But it is clear to me now that not even the greatest efforts would have been able to prevent a terrible event in this scale from occurring. You are the worst human being, or even just being in general, that I have ever had the misfortune of witnessing. Events like the infected plague apparently only happened with the goal of teaching humanity to survive such a horrible event as the one you just created. But not even mankind's greatest trials were able to even slightly prepare anyone for the insufferable evil you have just created. If you ever had them, your children would be preemptively killed to protect this universe from the possibility of anyone in your bloodline being even half as abhorrent. You are a colossal disappointment not only to your parents, but to your ancestors and entire bloodline. The disgusting mistake that you have just made is so incredibly terrible that everyone who would ever be to hear about it would spontaneously feel an indescribable mixture of immense anger, fear, and anxiety that emotionally and physically they would never truly be the same ever again. The sheer scale of your mistake, if it were to be materialized, would not only surpass the size of the world, but it would reach far beyond the edges of the known, and almost certainly the unknown universe. I could sit here and write paragraphs, books describing your immense failure, yet even if I were to dedicate my life to describing the reality of what has just gone down here, and I would spend every moment of it until my heart stops beating, working as hard and efficiently as possible, yet there is not even a snowball's chance in hell that I would be able to come close to transcribing the absolute shit show you have just released upon the world. You are an insensible, idiotic, disgusting, unloved, horrible excuse for a living being whose soul contains less humanity than every Ginder in his story combined. The absolute disgust I feel when thinking about anything that has even a slight resemblance to anything that might have to do with you and your unholy actions is so incredibly great that when I'm honest about it, I think that even I do not possess a consciousness great enough to comprehend my feelings about it. When people of Colombia fought to break free from lungmen, countless soldiers fought and lost their lives in favor of a chance at a better future for their children. They did not give their lives to have you fuck the world up beyond repair to the degree that you are doing right now. I pray that your future children are in half as bad as you are, except you will never be able to have children, because not a single human being will ever want to come within 100-mile radius of you and anything you have ever touched. Honestly, even when technology advances and studies on the subject become more and more accurate, I do not think humanity will ever truly be able to understand what your failure actually means for the universe. My hate for you and everything you stand for is so much deeper than the depths of Shambhala that you could probably take the entire Lungmen population down there and back up around 20 million times before you would have sunk to the end of my hate. And honestly, I do not want to exaggerate, but I think that insult was lowballing it, as my hate is such a massive amount that all mountains in this world combined would not be able to stack up to this imprecise judgment in light of the fact that, when being honest, My hate is almost certainly bottomless. There is no one in this world that has ever loved you, and especially after what you just did. No one will ever love you in the future either. There is no hope that your idiotic behavior, and especially your crude soul, will ever change for the better, and in fact quite the opposite might be true. By making the mistake that you just did, you have shown me that you are so incredibly hopeless that you will only devolve into a more idiotic and wretched creature than you already are. The only possible way in which your future would be brighter than the black hole your existence currently is would exclusively be because there is absolutely no conceivable way that you would even be able to sink lower than the pathetic place your current failure has put you in.
I give up.
Now you've done it. You've broken Sam's spirit with your stupid attempts to pick up that silly object. In fact, if I didn't find his pitiful sobbing so amusing, I'd come out there and rip your limbs off. Just ignore them, Sam. Maybe they'll go away.